Most of you aren't subscribed. Make sure to subscribe, as it helps out the channel. Without further ado, the series kicks off with several men aboard Navy ships, surveying a nearby island, all stating that their weapons have no chance against mysterious enemies. Heading onto the island, we follow several hunters facing the mysterious enemies, a swarm of monster red ants. As the frontline hunters work together, they attempt to physically stall the red ants, all whilst other hunters barrage the ants with spells, but sadly the hunters are ultimately overrun by the swarm. As they all begin begging for their lives, the hunters all note how they are far too low level to be facing such powerful creatures, but just then, Byung-ji-yu, SSS-RANK healer, arrives. As Byung-ji-yu begins healing the injured, Yun-sok wielding lightning magic, and Yeonho wielding martial arts skills, begin clearing the area of the swarm of red ants. Amazed that the three S-rank hunters were easily able to save them, everyone suddenly senses a greater white ant monster appear, prompting Yun-sok and Yeonho to volunteer to defeat the monster, all whilst Byung-ji-yu continues to treat the injured. With both S-rank adventurers dashing towards the white ant, Yeonho chooses to wrestle with the creature, giving Yun-sok enough time to prepare a powerful lightning spell, perfectly striking the white ant from behind. As the creature is temporarily paralyzed, Yeonho rips off the white ant's two front-facing fangs, leaping back, only to launch one of the torn-off fangs at the white ant, easily carving a hole in the creature's torso with his projectile. With no time to breathe, both S-rank hunters spot swarms of white ants approaching their location, forcing Yeonho to awaken his berserker mode, and Yun-sok to unleash simultaneous waves of lightning. Cutting to a nearby town on the same island, we spot Guildmaster Choi rally several other hunters in town, all standing off against a swarm of ants. Channeling a single flame spell, Choi signals the start of their raid on the ants, easily incinerating the weaker red ants, only to order his guild to begin attacking the greater white ants. Apparently, 10 years ago, several gates had begun appearing out of nowhere, allowing powerful monsters deemed magic beasts to appear. Seeing as conventional military weapons were useless against these magic beasts, it was discovered that humans began awakening with powers and skills that could rival the appearance of these magic beasts. These people were called hunters. Once a hunter had awakened, they would be given a rank from rank S to rank E, and sadly once someone has awakened, there would be no way of improving one's rank no matter how hard they trained. Cutting to the present day, 3 years later, we see a Mr. Kim sipping on some coffee in preparation for a raid only to greet Park. Mr. Kim learns that Park's wife has recently gotten pregnant again, explaining Park's reason for attending their raid today, as he hopes to earn some extra cash for the family. Just then, our MC, Sung Jinwoo, arrives, greeting everyone as everyone is clearly happy to hear that Jinwoo is here. Seeing the attention Jinwoo is getting, Park asks Mr. Kim if Jinwoo is absurdly strong, but Mr. Kim corrects Park, stating that Jinwoo had been deemed the weakest adventurer ever to be discovered, and the reason everyone is happy is because they know any raid Jinwoo partakes in will be easy for them. Cutting over to Jinwoo, we see him hold in the sadness from overhearing Mr. Kim and Park gossip about his weak status, but suddenly bumps into Joohee, happy to be working with her again. Cutting Jinwoo off, Joohee demands to know why Jinwoo is so covered in scars, but as they sit down, Joohee helplessly listens as Jinwoo recounts his latest raid on an E-rank dungeon, blaming himself for not being strong enough to avoid being hurt. Before Joohee can say anything, they are both called to have a group meeting. Introducing himself as Song Cheol, Song states that he will be leading their raid, since he is the most highly ranked out of their party. With the meeting over, everyone begins making their way over to a portal, all heading in one by one, leaving only Jinwoo left. Taking out a blade he was barely able to afford, Jinwoo takes a deep breath, gripping his blade tight, only to head through the portal. Elsewhere, we follow an old man, Go Gunhee, chatting with one of his employees, mentioning how the items collected upon slaying magic beasts are known as essence stones. Cutting back to Jinwoo, we see that he has managed to slay a magic beast by himself, acquiring an essence stone, but is caught off guard when a goblin sneaks up on him. Able to dodge the goblin's advances, Jinwoo goes in for a strike, but his blade shatters upon impact, leaving Jinwoo wide open for the goblin to stab him. Seeing Jinwoo in trouble, Park runs over to slay the goblin, heading back to help the rest of the group with other monsters, all whilst Joohee is forced to stop Jinwoo from bleeding out. As Jinwoo lies on the floor, He admires Song's magnificent skills, but just then we cut back to Go Gunhee talking more about the uses of essence stones. Go Gunhee states that stones acquired from slaying magic beasts allow powerful weapons to be crafted, but similar things can be done to mana crystals collected from dungeon raids. Most importantly, Go Gunhee states that the government is attempting to harvest energy from these mana and essence crystals, hopefully discovering a brand new way of acquiring energy. Back with Jinwoo, we see that his party had managed to deal with the swarm of monsters and the dungeon's boss, but Jinwoo notices Juhee's serious look. Juhee states that she is seriously worried for Jinwoo, not wanting him to push himself into dangerous situations. Just then, one of their party members points out that there is a tunnel that leads somewhere, catching everyone's attention as they suspect that this may be a double dungeon. Since the party wasn't able to acquire that much loot from their current dungeon, several people reason that they should be able to acquire extra loot, but the group leader Song wants to make sure everyone is on board. Upon taking a vote, Song counts 6 votes for continuing into the second dungeon and 6 votes against, leaving only Jinwoo's vote. Thinking about his current situation, Jinwoo reveals that his father had gone missing, his mother is currently hospitalized and his sister is about to enter college soon. Since he is the only one that can work, Jinwoo votes for entering the second dungeon. Cutting to Guildmaster Choi and his massive building, we see him mentioning a hunter by the name of Cha Hae-in, but just then, right outside his building, we see 2 thieves steal a lady's handbag, fleeing on a motorcycle. Before the thieves can escape, Cha Hae-in appears, easily retrieving the stolen bag, only to leap away to avoid being swarmed, having become famous from being a S-rank hunter. Back with Jinwoo and his party, we see him apologizing to Juhee, always thankful for a B-rank hunter like Juhee being there for him, but sees that Juhee is clearly mad at Jinwoo for voting to explore the dungeons. Since dungeons close after a dungeon's boss is defeated, the party note how they have around 20 minutes to spare, but Juhee is pissed that Jinwoo is always putting his life in danger, but to make up for it, she demands Jinwoo take her out for a meal, as a thanks for always taking care of him. Just then, the gang encounter a huge set of intimidating doors, but holding back their fear, they venture onwards. As they enter a massive room, they notice the room automatically light up, spotting various statues littered around the edge of the room. Seeing a massive statue in particular, everyone begins wondering what the challenge of this dungeon could be, but as they begin inspecting the room more, they stumble upon some writing in the room. With the leader Song reading out the commandments of the Kartenon Temple, the commandments state that they must fear, praise and prove their faith to God, or else they will not leave alive. Just then, the room's doors slam shut, prompting one of their group members to get freaked out, stating that they will personally be leaving. Before the group member can reach the doors, one of the statues suddenly moves, instantly decapitating the group member, leaving everyone in shock. Trying to digest the situation, Jinwoo notes how the group member that was instantly killed was at least D rank, and seeing as that single statue was able to move, Jinwoo turns around to observe the massive statue behind them, breathing heavily as the statue's eyes suddenly glares at him. Having survived death many times, Jinwoo had learned to survive with the most minimal of equipment, and instead rely on his instincts. Sensing something from the statue's eyes, Jinwoo cries for everyone to get down, right as the statue's eyes shoot a powerful beam at everyone in the party. With another one of their members incinerated, everyone begins to beg for their life, all whilst Jinwoo racks his brain to figure out how to survive. Seeing that the giant statue has ceased its attacks, several group members state that they should all make a run for it while they still can, but Song orders everyone to stay still, not wanting to provoke the statues. Turning to Jinwoo, Song commends Jinwoo's senses, as if it was not for Jinwoo alerting everyone to the giant statue's eyes, everyone would have been dead. Grateful for the thanks, Jinwoo realizes that Song has lost one of his arms, so the least he could do is help Song stop the bleeding. Seeing Juhee so shaken up, Song reveals that the reason a B-rank hunter like Juhee only participates in low dungeon raids is sadly due to her weak mental state to violence. Additionally, Song mentions how although he too has participated in several B-rank dungeon raids himself, he has never faced such a powerful creature like the giant statue, suspecting the creature of being S-rank. Sitting down and re-evaluating their clues carved onto the stone, Song and Jinwoo wonder if the god they must worship, pray and believe is the giant statue before them. At the same time, Jinwoo's sister, Gina chats with her friend at school, who is curious about Jinwoo, wondering why a hunter like him is always so injured. With no current plan, Song and Jinwoo agree that they should wait a bit longer, to hopefully see something change. At that moment, one of the party members begins to break, stating that he had recently signed with a prestigious guild, and that he doesn't want to die now. Encasing himself with a wind spell, the hunter dashes towards the gate, confident that he'll make it, but instantly, the hunter is vaporized. Disgusted to see another party member helplessly die, Jinwoo wonders why the statues don't just slaughter them, suddenly realizing something. Remembering that the first commandment from the stone is to worship God, Jinwoo begins to slowly stand up, but Song demands Jinwoo not do anything foolish. Upon seeing Jinwoo's determined eyes, Song allows Jinwoo to proceed, prompting Jinwoo to continue to stand up, only to immediately duck and bow his head upon spotting the giant statue's eyes light up. With everyone curious about what just happened, Jinwoo suspects that the giant statue only attacks people when they reach a certain height, therefore they should all bow to the giant statue. Seeing as everyone has bowed their heads, Jinwoo peeks to see the statue's eyes, relieved that the eyes have turned off, but instead the statue dons a terrifying grin. With nothing else happening, everyone notices that they are now allowed to stand up, exciting the party, but Jinwoo notes something is off. Just then, the giant statue stands up, slowly marching towards the members, all whilst holding its terrifying smirk. Thinking about the second commandment, Jinwoo racks his brain on ways to praise God, but out of nowhere, one of the party members suggests that they praise God through words, choosing to kneel before and recite a prayer. As everyone watches as the statue slowly approaches the knelt-down hunter, they all are forced to watch as the giant statue mercilessly stomps on the knelt-down hunter, following up by killing another frightened hunter. Seeing as it is too dangerous to stick together, everyone splits up, prompting Jinwoo to grab hold of the frightened Juhee, dragging her with him. Following Park, we see that he has made it towards the edge of the dungeon, thinking about how he still has a loving wife and kids that he must return to, but sadly one of the night statues cleave Park's body in half. Attempting to come up with a plan, Jinwoo notices Juhee's disturbed expression along with several hunters begging for their lives. Jinwoo digs deeper to come up with a plan. Scanning the statues around the edge of the dungeon, Jinwoo spots a statue with a musical instrument, ordering everyone to head towards that statue. With Song heading to his nearest statue, Song spots the statue playing its instrument, stating that it's safe to head to statues with musical instruments, prompting Mr. Kim to successfully find a statue of his own, only to begin breaking down crying. Jinwoo and Juhee have also arrived at a music-playing statue, but Jinwoo notes that the statue isn't playing its instrument, deducing that only one person can stand below each music-playing statue. Leaving the frightened Juhee beneath the statue, Jinwoo runs to search for another statue, catching the attention of the giant statue. Barely able to spot a music-playing statue, Jinwoo is barely able to avoid the giant statue's advances, but unfortunately wounds up beneath a shield-wielding statue. With the shield statue bringing its shield down on Jinwoo, he barely manages to survive, managing to crawl to a music-playing statue. With everyone now under a music-playing statue, they all spot the giant statue go back to its original location, seemingly turning off. Rushing to Jinwoo's side, Juhee notices Jinwoo's severed leg, immediately applying her healing magic, but Juhee is unable to completely heal Jinwoo, having depleted all her mana. With everyone wondering what now, Mr. Kim speaks up, demanding that Song take accountability, being the leader of the group that agreed to explore this dungeon. Just then, an altar appears in the middle of the dungeon, prompting Jinwoo to realize that the altar aligns with the third commandment, as by believing in God, someone must be sacrificed. Hearing this, Mr. Kim raises his blade to Song's neck, ordering Song to sacrifice himself and atone for his sins. With Song agreeing, Jinwoo thinks about how this is wrong, as everyone voted and agreed as a group, but when Song enters the vicinity of the altar, an orange flame appears. Curious as to the reason for this, Jinwoo asks two other party members to help him enter the altar's domain, prompting 3 more orange flames to appear. With Jinwoo attempting to figure out what is happening, Song reminds Jinwoo that today is the 7th day of their dungeon raid, meaning if they wait any longer to defeat this dungeon, the dungeon itself will open. This is referred to as a dungeon break, as the dungeon will act as a portal between the human world and the monsters. With Jinwoo asking for Juhee and Mr. Kim to enter the vicinity of the altar as well, we see 6 orange flames in total, but just then, an additional ring of blue flames appear around them along with the dungeon doors opening. As the blue flames begin to disappear one by one, everyone notices the statues along the edge of the dungeon begin to move, fearing what will happen when the statues reach them. Jinwoo is able to figure out that the statues only move when they aren't looking at them, but with the temptation of freedom before them. One of the female hunters beside Jinwoo makes a break for the door, managing to escape successfully, but one of the orange flames disappears. Seeing her escape, another hunter pushes Jinwoo aside, also managing to escape, leaving only 4 remaining. Seeing Mr. Kim tempted by freedom as well, Jinwoo states that they need at least 4 people to stop all the statues, and that once the blue flames all disappear, they can all escape. Sadly, Mr. Kim apologizes in tears, stating that they can't be certain that they can escape, only to escape out of the dungeon himself. Knowing that they will all die soon, Song asks that Joohee and Jinwoo leave him, as they need at least one person in the vicinity of the altar to keep the door open. As Joohee attempts to move, Joohee falls to her knees, as her fatigue has finally kicked in. With no other choice, Song and Jinwoo agree that Jinwoo will stay behind, unable to move himself, and Song will carry Joohee to safety. When Joohee offers to stay behind, Jinwoo states that she must live, handing her the essence stone he obtained, only for Song to knock Joohee unconscious, carrying her on his shoulder, only to leave the dungeon. With Jinwoo alone, he attempts to stand off against the swarm of statues, but instead is brutally flung around, ultimately falling onto the center of the altar, bleeding out. As the statues puncture his body with their weapons, Jinwoo cries out that he has a family as well, demanding for a second chance. As everything goes black, a sudden system terminal pops up, stating that Jinwoo has completed the secret quest, Courage of the Weak. The system terminal asks if Jinwoo wants to be given the player status, reminding Jinwoo that his heart will stop in 0.02 seconds, prompting Jinwoo to accept the offer. With his life flashing before his eyes upon accepting the player title, Jinwoo suddenly wakes up in a hospital bed, realizing that his arm is completely fine. Fearing that his leg may still be missing, Jinwoo is pleasantly surprised to see that his leg has also healed, along with the various stab wounds he endured from the statues. Wondering if everything he went through was simply a dream, Jinwoo is interrupted by 2 men from the Hunters Association surveillance team, Woo Jinchul and Kong Taeshik. Sitting down to have a chat, Jinchul tells Jinwoo that he's been asleep for 3 days, but Jinwoo is more concerned about Song and Joohee. Jinchul unfortunately reveals that due to Song's arm being severed, he'll most likely have to retire from being a hunter. As for Joohee, she seems to be traumatized, currently undergoing psychiatric care, meaning her role as a hunter is currently on hold. Jinchul calmly repeats to Jinwoo that out of all the party members that entered the double dungeon, only 6 were able to make it out alive, but Jinchul does mention something peculiar. Apparently, when he along with several members of the White Tiger Guild went to rescue Jinwoo's party, they only ended up discovering Jinwoo's unconscious body, and no temple nor statues. Shocked to hear this, Jinwoo is unable to fathom what he just heard, but Jinchul reassures Jinwoo that he has no reason to suspect anything malicious went on, trusting Jinwoo and his members' words. Out of nowhere, Jinchul gets serious, asking if Jinwoo experienced a double awakening. Since it's quite well known that hunters once awakened can never improve their stats no matter how hard they train, but there have been rare cases in the past where hunters have awakened a second time, allowing the same hunters to reach the S rank. Having brought a mana measuring device, Jinchul asks Jinwoo to place his hand on the device to re-evaluate Jinwoo's current mana level. Since Jinchul heard that the statues in the dungeon were S rank and above, Jinchul deduces that the only way Jinwoo could have possibly survived was to be S rank or greater. Sadly, the reading on the device reveals that Jinwoo's mana level is still at 10, meaning Jinwoo is still an E rank hunter. As Jinchul and Taseshki leave, Jinwoo lies back in bed, trying to digest what is going on, but suddenly Jinwoo notices a system terminal pop up with several unread messages. Recognizing the terminal as the one he saw before he was forced to accept the player title, Jinwoo pokes at it, noting how it is not a physical terminal. Just then, Gina arrives, scolding Jinwoo for being such a reckless older brother. Seeing Gina in front of him, Jinwoo can't help but smile, happy to see his little sis, but this annoys Gina, who states that she'll drop out of school and go job hunting if it means Jinwoo will stop having to risk his life as a hunter. Apologizing for always worrying her, Jinwoo asks if Gina can see the system terminal in front of him, but Gina gets confused, wondering if Jinwoo hit his head. Asking for some advice, Jinwoo learns from Gina that he should open the messages he's received from this mysterious system terminal Jinwoo is seeing, just like a video game. With Gina leaving for now, Jinwoo begins sifting through all the notifications, reading that the system intends to help Jinwoo get stronger, but if Jinwoo doesn't comply, he'll get punished. Stopping on his assigned daily quest, Jinwoo gets annoyed that he has to perform push-ups, sit-ups, squats and running whilst he's still hospitalized, so Jinwoo simply lays back down, ignoring the daily quest. Cutting to Jinchul, we see him reporting Jinwoo's case to Gunhee, noting how although Jinwoo didn't awaken again, it definitely is weird that no dungeon break ended up happening. That evening, we follow Guildmaster Choi, asking S-Rank Cha Hae-in to participate in an upcoming B-Rank dungeon raid. Apparently, since Cha was only recently a hunter, Choi states that he wants Cha to gain some more experience leading a team, reassuring Cha that all she needs to do is fight like she normally does, and that will be enough to lead the raid. Choi reminds Cha that his hunter guild is quite powerful in Japan, but compared to international guilds they are nothing, therefore learning ways to improve their members as a team is the ideal solution to grow stronger. That night, a huge gate begins forming in the middle of a busy road, but at the same time, Jinwoo's daily quest expires. As the system terminal begins to bug out, Jinwoo suddenly is forced awake, noticing huge amounts of shaking around his hospital bed. Having been assigned his punishment, Jinwoo awakens in a desert, turning to spot a massive poisonous centipede. Seeing a timer pop up, telling Jinwoo to survive for 4 hours, Jinwoo doesn't have time to wonder if this is a dream, running across the sand dunes, in fear for his life. With the nurses in the hospital checking in on Jinwoo, they start panicking when they realizes Jinwoo isn't in his room, but at the same time, as Jinwoo tirelessly flees from the various centipedes chasing him, his 4-hour time elapses, transporting him back into the hospital. Before Jinwoo collapses, he spots the system terminal congratulating him for surviving, only to reward Jinwoo. Several days later, Jinwoo gets ready for his daily quest, reassuring Gina that she doesn't need to stress about him. Following Juhee, we see that she has been requested to help attend a D-rank dungeon raid, but since Juhee is still shaken up, she sadly declines the offer, but gets happy hearing that Jinwoo has finally awoken from the hospital. As Juhee brings a little basket of flowers for Jinwoo, she spots several nurses gossiping about Jinwoo, noting how weird it is for Jinwoo to have recently begun daily exercises. With Juhee unable to meet with Jinwoo, we cut back to Jinwoo, who has completed his daily quests for the day, learning that the system terminals are indeed real, as upon completion of his daily quest, Jinwoo is granted 3 rewards. First, Jinwoo is granted a full recovery of all exhaustion that can be used whenever. The second is skill points that can be used on any attribute. For Jinwoo, he's been placing them in strength, resulting in his body slowly growing more and more muscles. Jinwoo's final gift is a loot box, which up until now he had been receiving pens and bandages, but today he's received a mysterious key that opens a gate at Hapjeong subway station. With news of D-rank, C-rank and B-rank gates beginning to appear more frequently around the country, we follow Jinwoo sitting beside his unconscious mother, revealed to have contracted a condition called eternal sleep. Apparently 4 years ago, Jinwoo's mother had entered the final stages of the disease, and sadly the only thing doctors can do is keep Jinwoo's mother on life support. Working through his daily quests, Jinwoo begins thinking back on his life, having expected to afford treatment for his mother when he first became a hunter. But as Jinwoo began joining raids, he realized that he was unable to fend for himself, but now with this opportunity to grow stronger, Jinwoo places most of his skill points into strength, heading to Hapjeong Station to enter the special gate. Having brought a weapon for safety, Jinwoo takes out the dungeon key, unlocking the dungeon, and is notified that he has entered an instance dungeon. Slowly descending the station, Jinwoo realizes that he is in a separate dimension, and that the only way to escape is to defeat the boss, or to use a teleportation stone. With no other choice but to continue deeper into the dungeon, Jinwoo arms himself with a blade, only to be stopped by 3 goblins. Not wanting to lose to these pathetic creatures, Jinwoo clashes with the 3 creatures, managing to impale one of the goblins. Feeling a surge of confidence rush over him, Jinwoo follows up but slaying the remaining 2, happy to see that he has grown stronger. Out of nowhere, Jinwoo senses a powerful creature approaching from behind, managing to block the beast's advances, but unfortunately his blade shatters. Realizing the steel-fanged lichen beast is far stronger than the goblins he just faced, Jinwoo begins to cower in fear. As the lichen begins rushing Jinwoo gets pissed at his weak self, helplessly watching as the beast pounces on him. Mustering up the courage to move, Jinwoo leaps as far as he can from the lichen, surprisingly flipping multiple times through the air. Catching himself in a handstand, Jinwoo pushes off with his arms, noting how light his body feels as he leaps over the lichen. As the lichen begins dashing towards Jinwoo steals his resolve, gripping his fist as hard as he can, only to launch his fist at the lichen. In an instant, the lichen is flung back, surprising Jinwoo, believing that the points he put into strength is paying off. Sadly, the lichen simply gets back up, making Jinwoo aware that it's still far stronger than Jinwoo. As the lichen once again initiates the fight, Jinwoo relentlessly throws punch after punch, all whilst dodging the lichen's steel jaw, but when the lichen gets too close, Jinwoo is forced to dodge to the side, allowing the lichen to continue charging into a wall. Seeing that the lichen hasn't sustained an ounce of damage, Jinwoo begins running to buy time, racking his brain for a solution to defeat the creature. Having only brought food and water, Jinwoo wonders how he'll get a powerful item to slay the creature, suddenly realizing something. As the lichen continues to hunt Jinwoo down, Jinwoo stops to open his player inventory, reaching in and grabbing a powerful sword. Right as the lichen reaches Jinwoo uses his new sword, easily splitting the creature in two with a single slash. Trying to make sense of what just happened, Jinwoo states that the blade apparently belonged to Mr. Kim, having paid 3 million for the special sword, all whilst notifying Jinwoo's level up and slaying a lichen appear. Sensing 2 more lichens approaching, Jinwoo states that he has no longer any reason to fear the creatures, gripping his new weapon. But as the lichen begins to fastly approach, Jinwoo realizes that his sword is lodged into the ground, managing to barely free, right as the lichens attack. With one lichen dodging Jinwoo's initial slash, the other manages to bite down and restraining Jinwoo's blade. Amazed at the grip strength of the lichen's steel fangs, Jinwoo manages to kick the lichen holding onto his sword, instantly cleaving the creature into two. Knowing that the lichens don't even compare to statues in the double dungeon, Jinwoo turns to the second lichen, only for the creature to retreat. Sitting down to assess his stats, Jinwoo realizes that he has reached a level of 2, noting how his level never changed when he did his daily quests, but reasons that he only levels up during real combat. Additionally, Jinwoo notes that upon leveling up, his wounds have been healed and that each of his 5 stats have risen by a single level, making leveling up more efficient than daily quests that only yield 3 skill points. Wondering what a single skill points does to his overall body, Jinwoo reasons he should think about these things later. Heading over to retrieve the essence stones from the monsters he's slain, Jinwoo is surprised to see the system notify him that he has received a monster drop instead, a lichen's fang. Navigating around the system terminal, Jinwoo notices a store, sad to see that he's too low level to purchase any items, opting to sell his most recent lichen fang for 20 gold instead. Wondering how much the system's gold is compared to his world's gold, Jinwoo once again brushes that question aside, stating that he must defeat the dungeon boss if he wants to leave. Knowing that he must get stronger first, before he can take on a dungeon boss by himself, Jinwoo suddenly spots the lichen that fled earlier, having returned with a pack of lichens. Charging head first into the pack of lichens, Jinwoo begins to slay one lichen at a time, stopping to assess the situation, thinking about what he could achieve with this newfound gift. Relentlessly dismantling the swarm, multiple level-up notifications can be seen, as Jinwoo continues to carve through the pack, but at the same time, the gate that appeared on the road continues to grow in size, with no hunters arriving to take care of it. Having acquired the Wolf Assassin title, Jinwoo is seen victorious and all covered in blood, but sad to see that his sword will break soon. Reading up on his new Wolf Assassin title, Jinwoo is amazed to see that his attacks against animal-type monsters are boosted by 40%, and that he has acquired 34 wolf fangs, 2 worn daggers, a traveler's cloak and surprisingly a teleportation stone. Wondering if he should use the teleportation stone to leave, Jinwoo wonders if he'll ever get another one of these instance dungeons again, reasoning that it can't help to explore the dungeon a little more. Cutting to Juhi, We see her receive a call whilst out on a midnight stroll, learning that a dungeon nearby has opened and they are in need of a healer. As Jinwoo makes it deeper into the dungeon, he begins noticing his battles against various magical beasts growing easier and easier. Jinwoo realizes that the red text he saw for the lichen had now turned white, meaning white text represents weak monsters, orange represents moderate monsters, and red means difficult monsters. Happy to have reached level 15, Jinwoo notes how he no longer can level up with the weaker magical beasts, reasoning that it's time to head downstairs to face this powerful aura he's been sensing. Upon reaching the bottom of the stairs, Jinwoo is weirded out by the decrepit station, but out of nowhere an attack suddenly sends Jinwoo flying against the wall, barely able to block the attack, but the attack instantly shatters his sword. Appearing from a stream of water, the blue venom-fanged Kasaka floor boss appears, with an orange text. Scanning the creature, Jinwoo notes the floor boss's tough skin, rushing to engage the approaching snake, but leaves no dent due to the creature's tough skin. Circling around, the floor boss begins chasing Jinwoo through the station, helplessly body slammed into the stream of water, only to barely survive the creature's entrapment in the water. Flung across the station's platform, Jinwoo watches as the snake tosses a train at Jinwoo, scrambling to evade the oncoming projectile. Moving in on Jinwoo, the floor boss manages to pin Jinwoo to a wall, smashing him through said wall, pissing Jinwoo off, as he demands to know why he hasn't grown stronger the slightest bit. Knowing that no one will come to save him, Jinwoo is smashed into the station's ceiling, falling onto the ground, but Jinwoo has clearly had enough. Stabbing and evading the creature's advances, Jinwoo knows that compared to the S-rank statues, this creature is nothing, opting to ditch his blade to cling onto the snake. Choosing to bet on his raw strength, Jinwoo begins tightening his grip around the snake's neck, watching as the snake squirms and flails around, only to collapse. With the system notifying Jinwoo of his level ups, Jinwoo smirks, happy to see that he has indeed grown stronger, having just defeated a dungeon by himself. Additionally, Jinwoo notices that he has acquired Kasaka's Venom Fang Dagger, a blade double the attack of Mr. Kim's sword, even applying a drain and a paralysis effect on enemies, along with Kasaka's Venom Gland, a potion that seems too risky to use. Just then, the system notifies Jinwoo of his completion of the dungeon, reverting the station back to normal, prompting Jinwoo to exit from where he came from. Upon reaching the exit, Jinwoo finds it weird that no one is around, but he suddenly hears a military officer call out. Demanding to know why Jinwoo just appeared out of the station, the officer apologizes upon learning that Jinwoo is a hunter, guiding Jinwoo to a dungeon break nearby. Apparently, the dispatched hunters were able to clean up most monsters, leaving only the dungeon boss, which Jinwoo can sense with his new level. Upon arriving on the scene, Jinwoo is able to sense that there are 8 E-rank hunters and 2 D-rank hunters, all struggling to break through the dungeon boss's defense. Suddenly Jinwoo spots Juhi, sad to see that she still hasn't recovered from the trauma from the double dungeon, but this only motivates Jinwoo to step in. With the broken sword he's still holding, Jinwoo cocks back the blade, propelling the sword through the dungeon boss's skull, allowing the other hunters to subdue and finally defeat the boss. As the hunters are relieved to have defeated the boss, one of the knights gets stressed, knowing that they must have been helped by a monstrous hunter, able to pierce the dungeon boss's defenses with a single strike. Spotting a shattered blade nearby, the hunter asks if anyone knows who the blade belongs to, but Juhi manages to spot Jinwoo leaving the scene, wondering how powerful Jinwoo has become. Back in the hospital, we see 2 nurses gossiping about Jinwoo, amazed that he has a hot body and a cute face, all whilst Jinwoo smashes out his daily quest. Upon visiting Jinwoo, one of the newer nurses is shocked, amazed that Jinwoo's muscles are far more amazing in person. Apologizing for being shirtless, Jinwoo slips on a shirt, only to ask the flustered nurse what he can help with. Shishly, the nurse reminds Jinwoo that he'll be discharged today, asking Jinwoo to head to the front desk, in order to fill in some paperwork. Happy to hear that, Jinwoo begins heading towards the front desk, but as Jinwoo leaves his room, the nurse asks for Jinwoo's phone number. Comedically, Jinwoo obliges, believing that the nurse needs his number to send him his test results. That morning, we followed an interview on a news broadcast, interviewing S-rank hunter Baek Yeonho. The interviewer remarks that Yeonho is one of 7 S-rank hunters in the country, asking what it must be like for hunters to hone their skills, and to put their lives on the line when exploring dungeons. Pleased by the question, Yonho states that the sole existence of a hunter is to explore and train, relating back to a time when he was a firefighter and that he needed to master the craft in order to ensure no one gets hurt. At the same time, we see Gina impressed by Yuho on the television, but seeing as she'll be late for school, she begins rushing out of her apartment. Running into Jinwoo, Jinwoo reminds Gina to be careful on her way to school, but having not seen Jinwoo in a while, Gina asks Jinwoo if he's been working out. Walking towards Jinwoo, Gina is shocked to see Jinwoo has also grown taller, which Jinwoo didn't notice. Before Gina leaves, Jinwoo forces Gina to take an umbrella, wishing her a safe trip. Checking his daily quests, Jinwoo notes that he'll finish his required 10-kilometer run later today. Checking out his own body, Jinwoo speculates that if he continues to put his points into strength, he'll probably become a bodybuilder. Knowing that he still has 12 skill points to use, Jinwoo notes how he should place some agility, thinking that vitality and perception could be helpful as well, but as for intelligence, Jinwoo wonders when he would have to use magic. Placing his points into strength, agility and perception, Jinwoo suddenly gets a call from his landlord, realizing that he needs to pay this month's rent. Promising to pay soon, Jinwoo begins searching for dungeon raids he can join in on, noting how he has to raid higher rank dungeons to earn more money. Jinwoo thinks his ability to endlessly grow seems like a skill that no one has ever heard of, therefore Jinwoo states that he better keep this cheat skill a secret until he can at least grow stronger. Spotting an enticing raid, Jinwoo jogs to his destination, finishing the 10 kilometers along with meeting up with his raid party. Greeting Wang Dongsuk, some of Dongsuk's members recognize Jinwoo, yelling that Jinwoo is known as the weakest hunter in the world, but Dongsuk asks Jinwoo to ignore them, apologizing for their rude remarks. Going over the rules, Dongsuk states that they'll be raiding a C rank dungeon and they need a minimum of 8 hunters, with half needing to be at least C rank. Dongsuk states that Jinwoo's role is to solely fill a slot, promising Jinwoo to still pay him 2 million for participating, prompting Jinwoo to scan the other hunters, noting how there are 4 C ranks and 2 D ranks. Dongsuk asks Jinwoo to help carry a bag filled with food, spare clothing, gear and medkits, but Jinwoo realizes that their party doesn't have a healer, learning that since it's hard for independent raids to acquire a healer. Sensing something suspicious about this amazing opportunity, Jinwoo agrees to sign a contract, but suddenly spots Yu Jinho, a 21-year-old D-rank hunter. Seeing Jinho's gear, Jinwoo realizes that Jinho must be from a very wealthy family, but nonetheless everyone begins heading into the dungeon. Upon confirming that the dungeon is C rank, the party heads through the portal, prompting Kyuwon to light up the dark dungeon with some light magic. As the party begins heading through the dungeon's cave, they all note how there are no glowstones, rocks that faintly light up dungeons, which are different from essence stones from monster drops and mana stones that people normally mine. With several minutes passing, the party gets weirded out, wondering why they have yet to run into any magical beasts. Running into a location filled with holes, everyone begins sensing a strange aura approaching, all beginning to brace for whatever is to come. Racking his brain for what the enemies could be, Jinwoo deduces that they are up against insect-type monsters, alerting everyone that the creatures are approaching from above. With Dongsuk activating his taunt skill, Dongsuk draws the attention of all the insects, ordering his men to protect Kyunwon, who begins channeling a fire spell. With several seconds passing, Kyunwon manages to unleash the powerful fire spell, giving the rest of the party courage to slaughter the insects. Seeing Dongsuk and his men slay the ants, Jinwoo praises the hunter's coordination, but still notes something strange about the situation. Turning to Jinho, Jinwoo notes how his expensive gear is keeping Jinho alive, but as Dongsuk and his members finish up the insects, he thanks Jinwoo for alerting them to the attack. As Dongsuk and his men inspect the bodies of the insects, they realize that the insects have bite marks that imply a greater monster must have terrorized the insects prior, but Jinwoo spots Dongsuk acting strange, warning Jinho to be wary of the others. As everyone continues deeper into the dungeons, Jinwoo begins thinking about the conditions of this raid, finding it weird that Dongsuk's independent party seems quite strong, but refuses to accept healers and has a reputation of recruiting strangers for every dungeon raid. Finally encountering a web-filled section of the dungeon, Dongsuk begins carving through the webs, prompting Kyunwon to light up the dark tunnel, revealing a massive pile of mana crystals. Seeing the tons of mana crystals, Dong-suk states that he's hid gold, estimating the mana crystals total around 1 billion, wanting to use the money to catch up to his younger brother. Realizing something, Jinho asks to see Jinwoo's contract, confronting Dong-suk as Jinho had realized that Jinwoo's contract had specified that Jinwoo won't be getting any drops from mana crystals and only monster drops. Changing the topic, Dong-suk promises to pay Jinwoo properly, but first they need to mine the mana crystals before defeating the giant spider dungeon boss. Asking his men to grab mining equipment, Dong-suk hears his men apologize for forgetting the mining tools elsewhere in the dungeon. Scolding his men for being so forgetful, Dong-suk asks Jinwoo and Jinho to stay and watch the dungeon boss, ignoring Jinho's concerns, as Dong-suk states that they should trust his orders. As Dong-suk and his men leave, Jinwoo finally places the pieces together, knowing that Dong-suk and his men total to 6, exactly 2 men below a 8-party raid. Additionally, since Dong-suk has raided other C-rank dungeons before, it's strange for Dong-suk to recruit strangers, but just then we see Dong-suk order Kyunwon to seal off the dungeon entrance, trapping Jinwoo and Jinho with the dungeon boss. Flashing back, Jinwoo is reminded of a time when Song had told him about scummy hunters that would purposely get other party members killed in a dungeon, in order to take more loot for themselves as things that happen in the dungeon can't be tracked down. With the noise from various rocks blocking Jinwoo and Jinho's escape, we see the dungeon boss slowly descend, but as Jinwoo thinks back on how much stronger he's gotten, Jinwoo equips his dagger, stepping up to confront the dungeon boss. Back outside the gate, we see Dong-suk and his men leave the portal, hearing his men ask him why they didn't just slay Jinwoo and Jae-inho. Dong-suk reminds his men that fighting near the spider boss would have woken the boss up, so by letting the spider eat the two, they can go in and mine all the mana crystals for themselves. Dong-suk notes how there were other entrances on the ceiling in the boss room, so they can enter and exit through them once the dungeon boss has settled down, but as they wait, Dong-suk states that in case they aren't able to gather enough mana crystals, they can always steal Jinho's rare gear. Crouching down, and browsing through his phone, Dong-suk wonders which rich family Jinho belongs to, reasoning he should attend the kid's family, but suddenly asks Kyuwon if he could beat the dungeon boss himself, happy to hear that Kyuwon agrees that they would need their entire army to slay such a creature. Cutting back to Jinwoo and Jinho, Jinho advises Jinwoo to flee instead of facing the boss, revealing that the spider dungeon boss is at least C rank and it would take an upper C rank or even a B rank hunter to solo such a boss. Knowing that Jinho is correct, Jinwoo remembers how the snake and the golem bosses were D rank, meaning he might not stand a chance against the spider dungeon boss, but Jinwoo can't help but feel calm, smirking as he wonders how strong he is now. Currently level 18, Jinwoo grips his blade, dashing towards the spider, only to swiftly pass through it, striking it a couple of times. At the same time, we see Gunhee chatting with Jinchul, having finished a draining meeting, asking if Jinchul could clear up his schedule, needing a break from all the press. As the dungeon boss begins striking back, Jinwoo evades each strike, heading to cut off one of the spider's legs, but is forced to retreat when his blade doesn't even scratch the spider's leg. Knowing a single strike from the spider will end him, Jinwoo begins ducking and weaving below the spider's body, trying to find an opening, but as Jinho watches on, he gets terrified noting how Jinwoo can't be E rank. Jinho suspects that Jinwoo is a false ranker, someone that is able to manipulate their magic power, purposely placing lower than expected, in order to hunt for fun. As Jinho falls to his knees powerless, Jinwoo continues to hack away at the spider, but is stuck, unable to break through the spider's thick exoskeleton. With his fatigue already at 57, Jinwoo confirms that his daggers have paralysis and drain on them, realizing that he'll need to use them to defeat the boss. Dashing forwards, Jinwoo realizes he can target the weaker spots of the spider to apply the debuffs, but suddenly senses something dangerous, leaping back, just avoiding the spider's acid spit. With another of the spider's trump cards revealed, Jinwoo knows that he'll lose if the fight draws out longer, opting to use his new dash skill. With a single cast of dash, Jinwoo appears above the spider, managing to impale and apply his dagger debuffs to the spider, but instantly the spider nullifies the debuffs. Knowing that he needs to keep applying the debuffs, Jinwoo speeds up, amazing Jinho as he tries to keep up with Jinwoo, but as Jinwoo sees an opening, he realizes that his fatigue has hit 70, giving the spider an opening to knock Jinwoo aside. As the spider scurries over to Jinwoo, it raises its claw to pierce Jinwoo, but right before it does, Jinwoo is reminded of his full recovery from his daily quests, barely activating it and escaping right before he's impaled. Once again above the creature, Jinwoo lands cleanly on the spider's face, impaling each and every one of the spider's eyes, successfully stacking paralysis and drain repeatedly until the spider collapses. Just like that, Jinwoo had soloed a C-rank dungeon boss, gaining a couple levels and grateful to have kept the full recovery for occasions like this. Amazed and terrified at Jinwoo's potential, Jinho watches as Jinwoo retrieves the dungeon boss essence stone, politely offering to carry all the gear, handing Jinwoo some water only to begin mining some mana stones. Weirded out by Jinho's sudden change in attitude, Jinwoo spots Donsuk and his party arriving in the boss room through an entrance in the ceiling, all wondering who defeated the dungeon boss. At the same time, we see Gunhee and Jinchul sparring, with Gunhee nonchalantly parrying and blocking each of Jinchul's strikes, only to land a powerful punch on Jinchul. Checking to see if Jinchul is okay, Gunhee thanks Jinchul, as he needed to relieve some stress, reminding Jinchul that relying solely on one's hunter's skills is foolish, as it's important to hone one's mind and body normally. Back with Jinwoo, we see Donsuk and his men confirm that the spider boss had been defeated, revealing that they know Jinho is the son of Yu Myungen, the head of the Yujin Construction Company. Curious as to why Donsuk is mentioning that now, Jinho is horrified to hear Donsuk offer him to join them, asking Jinho to kill Jinwoo. Donsuk reasons that if Jinho was the one that soloed the dungeon boss, then it must mean that Jinho's gear has special enchantments that even Donsuk and his party may have trouble with. Seeing Jinho hesitate, Donsuk states that he can either accept his offer, or she can die here with Jinwoo. Seeing Jinho slowly approach Jinwoo, Donsuk is happy to see Jinho is choosing to slay Jinwoo, but is shocked when Jinho has decided to fight alongside Jinwoo. With no other choice, Donsuk and his men begin slowly approaching Jinwoo and Jinho, asking if they have ever slayed another human before, but just then, Jinwoo gets an urgent quest, ordering Jinwoo to slay the 6 entities with immense bloodlust, or else Jinwoo will receive a punishment. As Kyuwon fires a spell at Jinwoo, we cut to Heejin meeting up with some friends, heading to a cafe to catch up. Heejin notes how she along with other White Tiger Guild members are doing nothing noteworthy, asking Gina about her training with Cha as they are both Hunter Guild members. Gina states that Cha is beyond this world, easily defeating A-rank monsters that would normally be quite hard for her. Even Ki-hoon, the leader of her party, was amazed, but Gina asks if Chul, the leader of Jinhee's party, is any good. As the girls gossip about the suspiciously high death rates in dungeon raids recently, we cut back to Jinwoo, barely alive from the projectile Kyuwon had landed on him. Reminded of the betrayal he felt at other humans, Jinwoo wonders if the urgent quest is the system's way of helping him, prompting Jinwoo to slowly get up, trudging over to Donsuk and his men. Seeing Jinwoo pathetically waddle towards them, Donsuk and his men feel sorry for Jinwoo, but suddenly see Jinwoo acting possessed. Having heard enough, one of Donsuk's men, Juntae, leans on Jinwoo, mocking Jinwoo's pathetic act, but Jinwoo silences Juntae, conjuring his dagger, only decapitating Juntae with a single slash. Horrified, Donsuk notes how Juntae was a D rank, but Jinwoo only thinks about how he must kill these men in order to survive. As 3 of Donsuk's men rush and fire projectiles at Jinwoo, Jinwoo instantly impales 2 of the attackers, applying paralysis and drain to both men, following up by cutting down the 3rd man, only to slay Kyuwon as well. With only Donsuk left, Donsuk immediately casts reinforcement, deducing that Jinwoo's dagger has special debuffs, stating that his fortified body should now withstand Jinwoo's dagger. Sadly, Jinwoo simply dashes in close, grabbing and slamming Donsuk's head into the ground. Completely defeated, Donsuk begs for his life, offering to pay Jinwoo any amount of money he wants, but Jinwoo reminds Donsuk that he tried to kill him 3 times. Pissed at Jinwoo's attitude, Donsuk cries that his brother is very strong, but Jinwoo ignores his cries, decapitating Donsuk and finishing up his urgent quest. As the dungeon begins to close, Jinwoo and Jinho report their raid to Association Worker, but as Jinho fills the lady in on everything, Jinwoo checks out his rewards for completing the sudden quest, shocked to be given the skill Murderous Intent, a skill that halves all abilities of the enemy. Having lied to the lady, Jinho is forced to claim all the glory, but as the lady leaves, Jinwoo states that he's happy to have given Gina an umbrella, all whilst we cut to Dong-suk's younger brother, staring off into the distance. Cutting to Jinchul, we see him receive a report on the recent dungeon raid, where Dong-suk and his men were killed, but the C-rank dungeon was still completed. Jinchul hears that Jinho was carrying very expensive gear, reasoning that it was Jinho that took care of the boss, but is surprised to hear Jinwoo was also a part of the raid, realizing that Dong-suk's younger brother, Wang Dongsu, may show up. Back with Jinwoo, we see him arriving home, exciting Gina as he's brought fried chicken home. On top of that, Jinwoo mentions how he can cover his mom's hospital bill along with their living expenses for a while, piquing Gina's interest as she notes Jinwoo is normally more frugal. As the two sit down to munch on the fried chicken, Gina asks about Jinwoo's recent raid, believing that it must have been pretty easy with other higher-ranked hunters. Thinking back on the raid, Jinwoo notes how he was quite cold back there, easily able to dismantle a whole group of humans, wondering if the system is changing him for the better. With Gina calling out to Jinwoo, Jinwoo apologizes for zoning out, knowing that if he's forced to go through such a traumatic event again, he won't hesitate, as he needs to get stronger to protect his family. As Jinwoo cracks open and sips a beer, a system terminal pops up, stating that it has detected a toxic chemical entering Jinwoo's body, instantly removing it after a few seconds. Amazed, Jinwoo chugs the rest of his beer, heading to his room, but teases Gina for eating too much. Now alone, Jinwoo experiments with a few more beers, impressed that he's not getting drunk at all, but realizes that it's a reward from surviving the double dungeon. Health and longevity buff allows immunity to all toxins along with improved regeneration capacity, which explains why Jinwoo's limbs came back after reviving as a player. As Jinwoo rests for the day, Gina notifies Jinwoo that a man by the name of Jinho is asking to meet with Jinwoo, but before Jinwoo leaves, Gina scolds Jinwoo for drinking too much, which Jinwoo reassures Gina that he's perfectly fine. Meeting up at a nearby cafe, Jinho thanks Jinwoo again for saving his life, which Jinwoo says is fine, happy to have received a good chunk of the essence stones to sell. Jinwoo asks if Jinho had revealed what really happened in the dungeon, but Jinho states that the violence was all in self-defense, so he hasn't told anyone yet. Just then, Jinho reveals that he wants to start a strike team, which Jinwoo immediately declines, anticipating that Jinho is asking him to join. Before Jinwoo leaves, Jinho reveals that he wants to start his own guild, and that they need only 19 more raids to be certified. Interested, Jinwoo learns that Jinho is in desperate need of manpower, wanting to start his own guild knowing that he'll inherit his father's company soon. Jinwoo notes how Jinho is the second son to the prestigious Yujin Construction Company, surprised that Jinho's father wants to start a guild for themselves. Jinho reveals that his father intends to have a S-rank hunter as their guild leader, but Jinwoo reminds Jinho that all 7 S-rank hunters in Korea are busy, with a former S-rank healer, Min Byung-gyu, already retired. Jinwoo realizes that Jinho's father intends to steal a S-rank hunter from another guild, warning against that as it may start political war. But Jinho states that he wants Jinwoo as their leader, believing that Jinwoo is already at least a B-rank hunter. Knowing that he nor his brother can lead their new guild, Jinho hands Jinwoo the location of their new guild building, stating that Jinwoo can have the $30 billion building after he completes 19 raids for their guild. Shocked at the amazing offer, Jinwoo calms himself, reasoning that he will probably become a S-rank or greater hunter in no time. Therefore, this $30 billion offer is nothing. As Jinwoo attempts to leave, Jinho cries that in exchange for Jinwoo's cooperation, he promises to never reveal Jinwoo's true power no matter what. That night, we cut to Wang Dongsu, asking his assistant Laura about the details of his older brother Dong-suk's death. Dongsu wonders what happens if he murders another person in another country, prompting Laura to state that murder can lead to the death penalty, but in some cases, the murderer may be evicted to their home country, where they could possibly bargain for a lighter punishment. Happy to hear this, Dongsu asks when he's free, disappointed that he'll have to wait, but takes a mental note of Jinho and Jinwoo. The next day, Jinwoo and Gina are preparing to work out together, both jogging alongside each other as Jinwoo asks Gina what she would do with $30 billion. Surprised by the amount, Gina states that she would pay for her mother's hospital bills, along with her school tuition, as for the rest she doesn't know. Hearing this, Jinwoo speeds up, leaving Gina alone, completing his daily quest for the day. Just then, Jinwoo realizes that the system had logged 11 kilometers out of 10, wondering how far the system will track his exercises, once again leaving Gina in the dust in order to complete double of what is required. Suddenly, Jinwoo notices his daily quest reveals itself as a hidden quest, granting Jinwoo a full recovery, ability points, a blessed and a cursed loot box. Opening up the blessed loot box, Jinwoo is stunned to receive a Demon Castle key of S-rank difficulty, smirking as he realizes something. The Demon Castle is supposedly as the elixir of life, a magic that can cure all illnesses, prompting Jinwoo to visit his bedridden mother. Seeing as this is a no-brainer, Jinwoo uses the demon key, opening up a massive door, thinking about how powerful his enemies will be. Knowing that he's quite scared, Jinwoo states that he still has the teleportation stone from the previous instance dungeon, keeping it close as an escape option. Just then, a powerful creature roars, drawing Jinwoo's attention as it approaches Jinwoo, deemed Hell's gatekeeper Cerberus. Knowing that he needs to get stronger, Jinwoo equips his dagger, dashing forward and attempting to cut off Cerberus's leg, but leaves only a scratch, following up by barraging the creature with slashes but still no damage. Activating his murderous intent, Jinwoo attempts to scare the creature, but Cerberus replies with a roar, instantly cancelling out Jinwoo's intimidation skill. Moving in close, Jinwoo drives his dagger into Cerberus's nose, applying paralysis and drain. But Jinwoo is forced back when Cerberus instantly cleanses all debuffs, following up by tearing off Jinwoo's left arm. Terrified that Cerberus took away a third of his life, Jinwoo spots Cerberus activate its rage skill, doubling all its stats, only to be shocked when Cerberus's attacks become hard to read. Having already lost half of his health, Jinwoo is forced to use a full recovery, restoring his lost arm along with his health points, dashing forward to strike back. As Jinwoo attempts to fight back, he soon realizes that Cerberus is too quick, forced to flee as Cerberus lands hit after hit, taking Jinwoo closer and closer to zero health, all while the system continues to alert Jinwoo of his health dropping too low. Knowing that he should leave, Jinwoo takes out the teleportation stone, but before he can use it, Cerberus appears, knocking Jinwoo back and separating him from the teleportation stone. Now forced to hide, Jinwoo remembers the system's shop, purchasing 3 health potions that heal 100 health points each. Looking through his inventory, Jinwoo spots the venom drop from defeating the snake in the instance dungeon, drinking the potion knowing that any debuffs will be instantly removed, leaving only the potion's 20% physical boost. Just then Cerberus appears, forcing Jinwoo out from hiding, but Jinwoo notes how Cerberus's rage skill has expired. As Jinwoo attempts to move in close with his dagger, Jinwoo is sadly caught by the jaws of Cerberus, dropping below 1,000 health points, but Jinwoo finally is close enough. Gripping his dagger, Jinwoo repeatedly punctures Cerberus's eye with his blade, ultimately forcing Cerberus to drop dead, relinquishing Jinwoo as his newly acquired levels heal him. Checking out his monster drops, Jinwoo spots a Demon Castle door key, an item that he can't access along with a fraction of the materials needed to craft the elixir of life. Knowing that he'll surely die if he enters the Demon Castle now, Jinwoo sets a goal of getting stronger first, before he returns to complete the elixir of life. Returning to his mother's side, Jinwoo can't help but be fixated on the elixir of life, wondering if this is the answer he's been looking for to awake his mother from her slumber. Knowing that he can only find and craft the elixir in the Demon Castle, Jinwoo knows that he is too weak at his current state, promising to get stronger. Cutting to a nearby cafe, Jinwoo agrees to help Jinho with completing 19 dungeon raids, but Jinwoo states that he only agrees if Jinho and himself are to raid the dungeons. Completely stunned by Jinwoo's conditions, Jinho reminds Jinwoo that they'll be raiding C-rank dungeons and that they need a minimum of 8 people per dungeon raid. Jinwoo simply says Jinho can find randoms that will fill in the positions, just like what Damsuk did, but Jinho is worried that himself and Jinwoo are still too weak. Jinwoo states that by having only himself and Jinho enter the dungeons, they can guarantee that no one else gets injured, and plus having a clean record after 19 dungeon raids will surely impress Jinho's father, inspiring Jinho to agree to Jinwoo's conditions. Cutting to Cha Hae Inn, we see Cha flawlessly exercising, sprinting around a racetrack only to stop for some water. As Cha cools off with some stretches, she calls out to the mysterious man that has been watching her, impressing the man as he hands Cha a business card belonging to Yujin Construction Company, Yoon Bomgil. Following Jinho and his father, Jinho listens as his father reminisces on the past 10 years, with the world being flipped on the resources found in the dungeons. Jinho's father notes how powerful the Hunter Association is, belonging to the government and is solely responsible for classifying hunters' strengths along with keeping track of dungeon appearances. Even though the Hunter Association is influential, Jinho's father states that the 5 guilds, the Hunter Guild, the White Tiger Guild, the Fiend Guild, the Fane Guild and the Knights Guild are way more influential, able to amass huge amounts of resources. Jinho's father reiterates that they themselves must start a guild, prompting Jinho to think about how powerless he is, wondering how he can impress his father. Back with Jinwoo, we see him completing his daily quest, sad to see that he isn't able to surpass the required daily tasks. Accepting his rewards, Jinwoo wonders if he can get another special key to an instance dungeon, but upon opening a loot box, Jinwoo is disappointed to see only a bingo ticket. Heading through town, Jinwoo notes how 3 skill points won't be enough progress, racking his brain to think of ways to get stronger. Knowing that the 19 dungeon raids will be good, Jinwoo wonders if he can level up in the penalty zone by defeating those centipedes, but realizes it'll be a waste of time if the centipedes don't level him up. Just then, Jinwoo receives a notification, asking Jinwoo to join a D-rank dungeon raid. Hesitant that he'll accidentally reveal his true power to others, Jinwoo realizes that he doesn't have time to waste, accepting the raid opportunity. Cutting to Song, we see him sparring one of his students, happy to see that his student is growing quickly, but is still unable to defeat Song even though Song only has one hand. Just then, Song receives the same notification as Jinwoo, asking Song to attend a D-rank dungeon raid, but Song wonders if he should even go. Song's student asks if Song intends to retire soon, prompting Song to agree that he might end up being a hindrance if he attends the dungeon raid, but Song states that he plans to do everything he can before he leaves this world. Cutting to Mr. Kim, we see him admiring his adorable daughter, revealing to his wife that he had received a dungeon summon, but this only gets Mr. Kim's wife to ask Mr. Kim to not go. Picking up his youngest daughter Yoonji, Mr. Kim reminds his wife that they'll need money to place Yoonji through kindergarten, and their older daughter through junior high. Seeing as her husband is right, Mr. Kim promises to return safely, reassuring his daughter Yoonji that he is very strong. That evening, we see Baek Yeonho scolding Choi Jong-in for pushing his media interview onto him, but Choi simply brushes it off, complimenting Yeonho for inspiring an interview on the news. Changing topics, Baek asks Choi what he wants to discuss, receiving some documents from Choi. Choi states that he has found several people form the Yujin Construction Company trying to steal some of his hunters, which Baek reveals Yujin Construction is doing the same to him as well, demanding to know what Choi wants from him. Cutting to Juhee, we see he curled up in her room, chatting with her mother, who begs Juhee to give up the life of a hunter, but this infuriates Juhee. Juhee promises to not be a burden, stealing her resolve as she accepts a D-rank dungeon raid. Back with Cha, we see her heading to Choi's office, greeting Baek as he exits Choi's office. Reporting that she was approached by a Yujin construction worker earlier that day, Choi is happy to hear that Cha has refused to join Yujin Construction's new guild, but Cha wonders what Choi and Baek were talking about. Following Baek as he sits at a bar, it's revealed that Choi had reminded Baek of the Jeju Island raid, stating that after the 3rd failed attempt, no one has attempted the raid since. Choi utters that he plans to conquer the island once and for, asking Baek to grow stronger, which prompts Baek to remember a terrible memory, seeing his S-rank friend Yunsok torn to pieces by the ants. At the same time, we see a mysterious old man asking another suited man to kill someone for him. The next day, we see Jinwoo preparing to leave, telling Gina he'll be back soon, but Gina voices how much Jinwoo has changed. Seeing Jinwoo leave, Gina asks if Jinwoo needs to bring any equipment, but Jinwoo says it'll be quick. At the same time, we see Song heading towards the dungeon location, revealed to have awakened as a mage, even though he specializes in using a sword, but his swordsmanship can't harm any magical beasts. Just then, Song runs into Jinwoo, barely able to recognize Jinwoo, amazed at how mature he has grown. Song wonders what happened to Jinwoo's severed leg, believing that a high-ranking healer must have healed his leg, compared to Song who was unable to receive treatment in time for his arm. As they both head towards the dungeon, Jinwoo helps Song enter the area, but they are both shocked to see that Juhee, Mr. Kim and Kong are there as well. With Mr. Kim and Kong unable to look in Jinwoo, Song acknowledges that he too would be guilty after abandoning Jinwoo in the dungeon. Before Juhee and Jinwoo can catch up, a sudden black van pulls up, outstepping several criminals in orange jumpsuits, only to begin catcalling Juhee. Before the criminals can say another word, a Hunter Association worker, Kong Taeshik, steps in, silencing the men. Jinwoo and the others learn that criminals plan to help the hunters complete the dungeon raid, due to the lack of manpower, and in exchange the criminals' sentencing time will be reduced. Fortunately, in case the criminals go crazy, Kong will step in and handle the criminals, being a B-rank hunter. Feeling something off with the situation, Jinwoo asks Juhee to not go on the raid, but Juhee states that she'll follow Jinwoo. Just then, Kong introduces himself to Jinwoo and Song, asking who will be the raid leader. Turning to Jinwoo, Song asks if he can be leader again, apologizing to Jinwoo for his previous raid, and promising to take the utmost precaution this time. With Mr. Kim and the others also agreeing to elect Song as the leader, we see Kong eyeing down Jinwoo, only for Song to rally the party to start the raid. Check out one of our other videos on the screen or in the info card above. Subscribe, like and comment.